Sorry about that. Looks like I have to begin again. I'm not sure where the video stopped, but I looked up what that means when you spread rice around, and it is again another purifying, cleansing the aura, cleansing the energy, cleansing the room, the space um, um, act, right? And so there are a number of ways to do it, or to cleanse your energy and things, whether it's candles, sage. There's all sorts of ways. So, but that was what I was led to do on that particular day, and uh, I began to see and realize that there were a lot of things that I was fighting for and against that were not meant for me. Okay? As difficult as it was from an emotional standpoint, from a mental standpoint, to get out of that energy and step away, realizing that that is no longer for my good because they have made decisions that are counter to the will and purpose of the Father. So, as I'm going along, I began to see their tactics and their maneuvers, why they shut me off. And if you listen to or watch any tarot readers on YouTube, many of them have been speaking about an individual, a Sagittarius, a Leo, or an Aries, mainly a Leo or a Sagittarius, because those are strong. Those are my strongest fire signs, I guess, if you will. So my opposite, my moon sign, is a Gemini, which happens to be my father, Kevin. He's a Gemini. Today is his birthday. In fact, May 24th. He's 66 years old today. So I began to see how he was the wizard behind all of this, right? Because he never wanted me to get married, he never wanted me to reproduce, because he knew the calling and anointing on my life. So he knew that he did not want that, because he chose long time ago. His father, unfortunately, taught him how to do witchcraft and evil spells and things like that, and his father is long past. Again, I've asked him, his father spiritually, why did you teach him those things? I would never teach my child witchcraft. Like, what did you think was going to come from that? And maybe his father didn't believe, maybe his father thought it was innocent enough and he wasn't going to use it for what he did, right? He wasn't going to use it to be a polygamist for 30 something years and have 17 kids. And maybe he thought that he wasn't going to use it for evil. I don't know. But I know regardless, I would never teach my child witchcraft. I would never do that. That serves no purpose. That's like teaching them racism. What's the purpose? There is one race, and that race is human. That is the only one that matters. And I've said it again, I'll say it forever. I am a brown guy. If you want to know the difference between brown and black, you can look at the face of this woman at the bottom of this painting, or you can look at a color spectrum. There is a difference, and I'm not black. You can get upset, get mad. I know who I am, and if you want to come to me spiritually, you're in for a rude awakening. So don't think about it. So you need to be careful about what you say to me and how you say it. All right? So live your life the way you want to, because I'm damn sure living mine the way I want to through my truth. Okay? So anyway, so she decides that this is what she's going to do. And when she ghosted me and all of that, and I couldn't understand why, she would gaslight me, get me fired up, and then she would leave. She would show up, show me a little bit of love, and then she'd leave. And this was off and on, off and on. And again, if you've heard tarot readers speak about a Sagittarius that's going through a third-party scorpionic situation, those readings were about others, but they were, I am me. You know what I mean? So they were definitely about me, even if they weren't for any other individual on this planet. They were about me for sure. I am that fire sign, that's Sagittarius, Leo, Aries, with the Pisces ascendant, Gemini moon, I am that individual born on 333 that they've been speaking about. Okay? So this is, again, I'm not the only one. I don't believe that, right? But I can only speak for who I am. And so I began to see things very, very, very clearly. And it still took a while. I reached out to after I went into solitude, I reached out to the senior minister of the house that she was now a part of as well. Our mutual friend, her and her family were a part of that house, and she was now a part of that house. Real quick. So I mentioned the adoption thing. I forgot to mention the other part of it. So the lady that I was singing, some 20 years ago, we blessed someone with a child, right? Through the adoption process. This false twin flame, has adopted a child, right? Again, twin flame mirroring, right? I give up for adoption, right? She receives adoption, right? Okay. Her adoption was a female. The one that we sold into that family is a male, mirroring, right? I mean, the signs are all over the place, okay? So as I'm going through this process and the crying still continuing, after I move into the place, into the house and get settled, and I began to see how my father, the polygamist, always had from when I was a child, always had his hand on me, where I was, what I was doing. I did not speak to him or know where he was for 7 years between 2007 and 2010, when the sheriff's department contacted me and told me that my mother was looking for me. She had followed him through this journey, right? She had issues of letting go and all of that too, right? She followed him since 72 when they met each other. And she told me he has never been faithful. He's always been a promiscuous person. He's always been that individual, never committed to one relationship. And again, she has had to deal with her own trauma and going through all of that. So, and getting released from that situation, if she is truly, and I really don't know if she is today, and that's a whole nother story. So, so I began to see how, because of his witchcraft, his spell work, right, and the evilness that he chose to constantly send out on me, he prayed that I would go back to war when I was in the military and be killed, because me being around reminded him of the fact that he is with my wife, my first wife, right? And for those of you who missed that part, yes, I was married in the 90s, and while I was away in Germany, she chose and was manipulated, witchcraft used on her, and she became a part of that cult that he managed or whatever, right? And so my first wife ended up going to that situation with the girl who I believe is our daughter. And if the chance ever presents itself, I'm certainly going to do a DNA test. But so that's what she chose to do, right? And obviously that broke my heart. I was devastated. But I was 3,000 miles away. There was nothing I could do about 4,000 miles away. There was nothing I could do about that. Even though I came home several times on emergency leave to try to save my marriage, she wasn't hearing that, right? So throughout my adulthood, he has had a hand on me in knowing where I was, what I was doing, would not tell my mother. Even when she was with him, she would ask him where I was. When they were running from law enforcement from state to state, he would never tell her where I was. And so that was his whole purpose, for me never, ever, ever to reproduce. So whoever the soulmate and the divine counterpart that's coming into me today, I do not know who that individual is. However, there is one, and she's out there, and she's going through her ascension process or whatever she's going through, right? And one day we will be together. because we are already married in heaven. And the divine has performed that ceremony with my ancestors, her ancestors. I have an Egyptian shamanic bloodline as well. So all our star seeds, we're all together. We've already had a wedding in the 5D. So wherever she is, when she reaches out to me, I'm gonna know it, right? And so he's not gonna be able to stop that, but he's not gonna be able to stop it anymore because the generational curses have been broken, right? Because of the cleansing of the bloodline that's happened, he will never be able to do those things again. And so now today, on May 24th of 2023, now those individuals, both the false twin flame, the karmics, the scorpions, all involved in that situation, now they're dealing with karmic justice. Okay? So I am not in contact with any of them. I haven't spoken to Kevin in I don't even know how long. It's been a long, long time, many years since I've spoken to him. The last time I reached out to him, I sent him an email that was apologizing, and I just told him that I forgive him. I just said, hey, I forgive you, and I just want you to know that I still love you because I am an unconditional loving person. That is who I am. That is the healing part of me, is my unconditional love. So he replies to me and he says, I forgive you too. Now, I laughed at that, and that's all he said. I laughed at that because no person who is aligned with the divine is going to reply with, I forgive you too, when they took your spouse, they took your child. There is no way. There is no way. So I began to see that he was a warlock, and he was an evil warlock. He's also a Mason, and not all Masons, you've heard me say this if you've listened to other videos. No, I don't believe all Masons are evil. He is one who chose to do evil. Again, they are both evil and good, bad and good angels, right? So the devil was a good angel until he decided that he wanted to have the power that the divine had, that the creator has. He wanted to be in the number one seat, right? And since that wasn't happening, he decided to go out and start something of his own, which is exactly what Kevin did. So anyway, so I come to find out that everyone that I've ever dated or married, I've been married twice, he has sent spell work against to curse. The second wife couldn't even get pregnant. We tried all sorts of things. For 2 years, she never could get pregnant. Until this day, she still has, to my knowledge, not been. Never, ever in her entire life. And she's in her 50s, right? So anyway, back to I have to be careful. I almost said her name. Back to the false twin flame situation and my ascension. So throughout this process, and I am a fast moving angel, fast moving energy. I believe in speed and accuracy. And that also presents some challenges when it comes to being patient with the Father's process. And if there is if there is an Achilles heel, if there is a pain point for me, it's not often that I have to sit on my hands. Thankfully, he allows me to soar and fly almost always as fast as I want to go. But this process, because of the amount of witchcraft and because of the amount of work being done against me, his timing his timing, the divine timing, I've had to sit on my hands, right? And so that's been a challenge for me, but I'm doing it, right? I'm not forcing anything, and every day I make sure that I'm not. I check myself. You're not doing this, Kevin? I don't care. If I was broke, poor, homeless, foodless, whatever, right? Nothing would ever stop me from fulfilling this mission. Nothing would ever stop me. I would not care. And that's the part that they did not understand. So they have mistaken the meekness and the unconditional love for me being a softie. Because even though I would tell them that I was a soldier, they understood it from a natural standpoint. They did not understand it from a wounded warrior spiritual standpoint. So here I am today, and karmic justice again is now being issued. Oh, the point that I mentioned about the senior minister at the house that we attended. So I sent him an email and I notified him of the things that were going on in her life and what she was doing based on what Holy Spirit was telling me. Now, I understand that that could sound a little far-fetched. However, if you are one called to lead a house and you call yourself a minister, you better be spiritually aligned. You better sacral chakra, heart chakra, solar plexus, crown, third eye, soul chakra, universal chakra, galactic chakra. You better have everything. Everything needs to be lined up, right? Every time you wake up, every day you wake up, right? However, if you're functioning from a religious point of view, these things sound ludicrous. So he dismissed them, right? He dismissed them. So I chose to walk away from that place because I will never be led by someone who does not believe the truth because of their mind, right? To me, that person is weak. You can't stand on the front line with me and fight this battle, buddy. You need to go to the back and sit in a chow hall or something because you're not a warrior. You're not a soldier. Go sit down somewhere, right? So I left him and that place, okay? And I was there for 20 years. And I know I was sent there. But again, sometimes you're sent into places as the light. I am a light worker. You're sent into the place to shine light into the dark places, right? Into the dark places and to reveal what was hidden in the darkness, okay? So that's why I was there, right? And through this process, I can only begin to express to you the revelations and the things that have come to me since this awakening and going through the dark night of the soul. The people, the ancestors I've connected with, the conversations I've had in the 5D, the visions, dreams, supernatural things that have happened. And so today I am about to relocate from this land because that giant here has been slain, right? That giant has been destroyed. In my bloodline and for my ancestors, for the generations to come, right? But the karmic situation was the catalyst to get it going, right? But I had to step away and I had to remove myself and go into solitude in order for that to happen. So if you are dealing with a situation or any of these examples or situations sound familiar to you, know this. Know that, one, when this time comes and it presents itself for you to go into solitude and become that hermit, that hierophant, when you do that, know that it is for your good, and I encourage you to embrace it fully because your eyes will be opened, your spiritual ears will be open, and you will become enlightened to things that were hidden in the darkness because you are becoming the light. And when you do that, you will begin to see things that, because they are now illuminated to you. Okay? So this is, again, me sharing my personal situation as a Sagittarius dealing with 5, 6, 7 Scorpios, this warlock Gemini, and the Capricorn mother, and these individuals that were against me. So the warlock Gemini would spiritually recruit these individuals. So if they were for me when we met, right, through witchcraft, he would turn them around to be against me, right? Because if it was pointing to anything prosperous, anything good, he did not want it for me, for fear of me coming into the realization of who I was or birthing that next promised seed. Again, for us, I'm not the only one. And my divine counterpart, wherever she is, we're not the only one, and I know she knows that, right? So anyway, I thought I would share that. Again, any questions or anything, there's numerous things that I've done to cleanse myself. Again, I mentioned egg cleansing. I've only done the rice. I only did it at one time when Holy Spirit spoke it to me. I've only done it once. All of the ancestral things, my ancestors, they like flowers. So I get them flowers. I pick flowers for them. All of the saging and cleansing baths and all of those things that I've done have gotten me to this point today, where I am today, with Divine's guidance. So thank you so much again for tuning in. Once again, my name is Nehru, and you have been listening to The Encourager. Thank you so much, and talk to you soon.